Now, I love a top 10, and judging by the amount of views it gets, so does everyone else. So here's another top 10, which is eye-raising and interesting and weird and predictable, all at the same time. So, the Daily Express, why I don't know, decided to publish the top 10 best-selling cars in Europe. Now remember, that doesn't include us. That's everywhere else. The whole of Europe that we're not in because of Brexit, which no doubt will upset a few Remainers. But we can't help that. What's done is done. Can't be undone. Well, I suppose it can, but it's not going to be. So the top 10 best-selling cars in Europe. It throws up some interesting things. So we'll start with number 10. The Peugeot 2008. I mean, I don't think I've ever driven a petrol one of them. I've only ever driven the milk float. And I'm sure the petrol one is lovely. The milk float is absolutely awful. But it only makes up about 5% of the total sales of the Peugeot 2008 in Europe. The rest of them are all petrol and diesel. But it's still sold like 190,000. Number 9, and this is where it gets interesting. The 9th best-selling car in the whole of Europe is the Dacia Duster. Now, I have driven one of these. And, I mean, to be fair, right, brand new car for 14 grand. If you want a brand new car for 14 grand, you cannot go wrong. You know, it's less than the depreciation on a Nissan Leaf in a year. But for 14 grand, you get 14 grand's worth of new car. You get some of the cheapest plastic known to man. I mean, it's built in Romania. Probably by the same people that used to build Trabants by the build quality. But they are reliable. They do go on and they work. They're cheap. They're cheerful, and they don't build milk floats. So the 9th best-selling car is not a milk float. 194,273 of them they sold. Ooh, that's a lot. Nearly 200,000 Dusters. Another one drives a Duster. Well, it turns out a lot of people drive Dusters, but no milk floats. Number 8, the Skoda Octavia. The car that cost me my licence. I mean, granted, I doubt many of these are the VRS. But it was the Skoda VRS that cost me my licence, as I got done for speeding twice. In 2 separate counties, on 2 separate months, both in VRSs. Because essentially, it's an Audi A4, isn't it? So, you're all right with it. The engine's great. Quality's great. I love the VRS. And the Octavia is a bog standard saloon. None of them, however, are milk floats. So that's the 9th bestseller isn't a milk float. The 8th bestseller isn't a milk float. See a bit of a theme going on here. Number 7, on the other hand, the Toyota Yaris Cross. If you're under 60 and you've bought one of these, have a word. These are designed exclusively for pensioners to go shopping in or take their small dog to the beach. That's what they're for. Fine, if that's what you want, go for it. They are all polished turd hybrids, not plug-ins. And I've sung the praises of the Toyota hybrid engine before. It really does do exactly what it says on the tin, and you'll get 70 to the gallon out of it. And it doesn't offend anybody. And oh, look, the kids have come home. Hello. I didn't know she was coming home. There you go. That's exciting, isn't it? What's she doing home? Hang on. The floors are wet. Don't let the dogs out. Just mop me floors. Number 6, the Peugeot 208. Again, some of these are the 208E. I can't say any more about it. There's only so much you can say about a car before you get obsessed. So we'll just move swiftly on, because a small percentage of them are milk floats, but largely petrols and the 1.4 HDI engine that Stellantis put in virtually every car in Europe now, and goes on forever. Number 5, the Volkswagen T-Roc. Not the ID3, not the ID4, not the ID5. All three of them, crap. The T-Roc, of which none are milk floats. That's right, 0% milk float. Guaranteed. So that's out of the top 6. There's a couple of maybe a milk float in there somewhere. There's one polished turd. But there's mainly petrol and diesel. Now, the reason that this is interesting is because milk floaters will tell you that milk floaters are taking over the world, and all new car sales, milk floats are outselling everything. Well, in the whole of 2024, that doesn't appear to be true. Until you get to number 4, the most controversial car in the world right now, which should be the subject of another video. But I have said all along, and there's videos on here to prove it, that if you're going to buy a milk float, you buy a Tesla. Because the 3 and the Model Y are pretty much as good as it gets in the world of milk floatery. I don't like them particularly because A, there's nowhere to charge a Tesla around here. B, they're still a milk float. C, they're so bland inside. They are so dull and boring. They're not particularly nice to look at on the outside. They just look like a fat saloon car. They haven't really got much going for them. But nevertheless, it is still, if you're going to have a milk float, you need one of them. And they sold 221,000 of them last year in Europe. Something tells me this year those figures might be slightly down, because everyone's decided that if you drive a Tesla, you must be a Nazi. And I'll go into this in more detail, but if you're that stupid, ignorant, thick, whatever you want to call it, that you think that that bloke that makes Teslas is somehow the problem in the world, Jesus, you really, really need to take your head out your arse. Because it's mind-blowing that people are now, of course, the tolerant liberals, that, you know, the ones that say, you've got to love everybody. Bloke in a dress, you got to love him. You can't say anything against him. What? A bloke who makes electric cars that likes Donald Trump? Burn his car down, paint swastikas on it, vandalise them, scratch them, do what you want to them, spit at them in the street if they own a Tesla. Because that's what us liberal, caring people do. Because we love everyone, unless you disagree with us. And unless you have views which are the opposite of what we think. Then we think you're fair game. And that is what's wrong with the world right now, in a nutshell. So, it was the 4th best-selling car last year. It won't be this year. Number 3, the Volkswagen Golf. As reviewed by me about 2 years ago as one of the greatest cars on the road, the Golf R. And I looked up the figures for this, because there is the Golf E. But it's only a bloody mild hybrid, so it doesn't really count. But nevertheless, it is there. The Golf is there. Largely petrol and diesel, about 97%. Number 2, the Renault Clio. How's that the best-selling car in Europe? I got one, I can't bloody sell it. However, according to the Daily Express, the figures they've got, where are all these pickup trucks coming from? Who's that? Oh, it's Adam. The Renault Clio, again, 0 milk float, some polished turd. And the number 1 best-selling car in Europe, with figures of 286,663 in 2024. Come on, let's have your guesses. Let's have your get your guesses in now. What's the number 1 best-selling car in Europe? 9 minutes 35 seconds into the video. So timestamp it at what point you said the best car in Europe was, and let's see if you're right. Put it in the comments now. I'll give you 10 seconds to type while you think about it. 286,663 units sold. If you said the Dacia Sandero, you'd be right. James May is clearly a marketing genius. By going on about that car as much as he's gone on about it, it's made it the best-selling car in Europe. Which says several things, doesn't it? One, Europe's got no taste. I mean, we prove that every year with Eurovision. But they've got no taste if that's the best-selling car. But two, and most importantly, clearly, the most important thing to people buying cars in Europe right now is cost. Because that thing, in Europe, with your conversion, you can get for about 13 grand. So it's all about cost. It's not about anything else. And whenever I think about it, I always think about it in brown. Hang on a minute. All right, Jane?
Where's Malfi?
In the front room.
No, he's not.
Yeah, he is.
I don't think he is.
He is. He's in there somewhere. I shut him in ages ago. We got a cat that keeps running away. So we've got to keep him in the house for a bit because he's been living up the road. And see, this is my struggle. You know, I'm here trying to do a professional broadcast and she's outside wondering where the bloody cat is. She ain't even meant to be home. She ain't called Jean. I haven't really called any of my kids Jean. That's my nickname for her. The Dacia Sandero. Number 1 in the world. Unbelievable. So there you have it. Out of the top 10 cars in Europe, only one of them is a dedicated milk float. The other 9 aren't. And the top seller sold 65,000 more than the Tesla. So, top 10 cars in Europe for sales, 9 of them non-milk float. Sans milk float. Other languages are available. So if you're telling me that milk floats are taking over the world, well, they may be, but not in Europe. And not in America. China, well, granted. But then again, you can buy for 50p out there, and they've got the electrical infrastructure to do fast charging out there. And why have they got that? Because they've got 1,783 coal-fired power stations. That's why. Which is why the conclusion of this will always be future my arse.